Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of the Ben Wiersma Show, where we dive into everything diversity, equity, and inclusion within the restaurant space. I'm your host, Ben Wiersma, and I'm thrilled to be here today. On today's show, we have two guests joining us to speak about Unilever's Fair Kitchen movement. If you don't know, Unilever's Fair Kitchen is a global movement, and we're thrilled to have them on to discuss fair kitchens, as well as a new leadership training that's launching here very soon. So with that, we'll head over to a quick commercial break and we'll bring our guests in. Recently, Cisco launched a new purpose statement, connecting the world to share food and care for one another. And that's what we're here to do today. So with that, I'd like to bring in our guests and have them introduce themselves here. So we have Kyla and we've got Matt. Kyla, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right. Hi, Ben. Hi, Matt. So Chef Kyla here from Unilever Food Solutions. Really excited. And I'm not really here from a Unilever perspective today, just as one of the partners that helped start the Fair Kitchens movement, which we're really excited to talk to you about.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. And over to Matt.
Yeah, I'm Matt Johnston, the Director of Product and Menu Experience at Pita Pit. But like Chef Kyla, I'm here to support Fair Kitchens for everyone. It's something that I've been really passionate about, and Fair Kitchens movement has given me a really great opportunity to sort of step forward and help lead the way.
Fantastic for that, and thank you. So obviously, thank you both for joining us. And Kyla, I want to go to you first with what is Fair Kitchens?
How much time do you have? No, to really get to the point of it, and I think many of the people that are watching here would agree. About why this movement started, but it really is about fighting for a more resilient and sustainable food service and hospitality industry. It's that call for change, right? And it's about really having that healthier culture, and having that healthier culture we know is not only going to retain staff in the restaurant and hospitality industry, but it'll also attract new staff, right? Which of course is something we're really looking at right now. So we did, help support launching this movement in 2018 when we saw that there was growing awareness for that need for the healthier culture. But also we can imagine that during the pandemic, this need has also been amplified, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm just here, like I said, on behalf of Unilever Food Solutions as one of the partners that came together to help launch the movement. But in addition to that, there are other key partners, other chefs that have really helped build this. And today we wanted to talk specifically about the launch of some really amazing leadership training that's associated with the Fair Kitchens movement.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. And so why a leadership training now? I know you kind of touched on the pandemic, but I'm imagining this is something that's been kind of long in the process. Why a leadership training now?
Absolutely. So, like you said, going back to the pandemic, we already know that hundreds of thousands of people within at least the Canadian food service market, but we also know globally, have lost their jobs due to constant opening and closing. And it's navigating this environment right now to make sure that people feel they have an environment where they're being appreciated and where there's room to grow. And so, of course, this has existed before the pandemic happened. But often people are put in these leadership positions within the hospitality industry that maybe don't necessarily have the leadership skills or have the managerial skills to lead a team. And then, of course, leading a team through a really, really difficult time. And so that's why we thought, you know what, we're in a position to be able to have these training modules to help people really cultivate that skill set, whether they're currently in a leadership role or something that they strive to be in.
Strive to be in. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And so where is this happening?
So this will all be virtual. And all the information that you can access to sign up for it will be on the Fair Kitchens website, so fairkitchens.com. But also you can follow us on social, so Facebook and Instagram at We Are Fair Kitchens, as well as Instagram #Fair Kitchens. We'll give you updates when the launch happens next week, and also how you can sign up.
Fantastic. So I did want to ask, and we'll go over to Matt. I did want to ask Matt, what have really been the benefits of this training within your organization?
Well, one of the things that we've been trying to cope with in our organization, where we're dealing with franchisees who are all independent owner operators and who come into our network with a variety of previous experience, but aren't necessarily restaurant experts. And so trying to help them deal with their stress levels, the tools have never been more important to have, because it's not intuitive for a lot of folks, so we were trying to help franchisees develop everyone's opportunity for success in their environment, and so they're not necessarily able to identify the nuances of the younger generation, the Gen Zs, who they want to work a completely different way. They don't really want to work more than 4 hours or 3 shifts a week. They want to shop around for jobs before they accept a job, and that's a unique experience in my years in food service, where you can't just hire someone and offer them a job. You have to compete for them to take your job. So being able to cope with these tools that don't necessarily fit with our expectations is really important. It can help avoid certain, quote unquote, human resources complications, for both sides of the conversation. So, and then I think Chef Kyla alluded to, it will help to reduce burnout for team members as well as team leaders, because everyone is feeling more pressure than they ever have before.
Yeah, that's really well said. I like the idea of this almost becoming a benefit for not only somebody looking to join your organization, but also knowing that individuals within the organization have gone through a training like this.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, it's important. And actually, even for me, I'm also a franchisee, and I have worked with the managers that I have in my stores who are very young, under 25, not necessarily fully educated, as we would like to say, but certainly clever and able. And these tools helped us to put the really important stuff into layman's terms, into the way that they can understand.
Yeah, that's really good. So I know I had a little bit of a preview into the training itself. It's broken into modules. Is there some modules you think are really relevant, or what are some of those modules?
Well, I think all the modules are relevant, and it's great because we cover everything from building a diverse team and finding ways around your biases and ways to help you and be able to include everyone and not exclude people, all the way through to the last module, which really hit to me, which is about dealing with crisis in the workspace. And the really interesting perspective on that module is that when I say crisis, everyone has a different vision of what that is, but it really can just mean one person calls in sick on a Friday night, and how do you cope with that in the moment? And those are the types of experiences that you hope you don't learn on the fly, because you'll often make a bad decision. So hoping that we can, sort of color in the lines for some people on those types of scenarios.
Yeah, that's really good. So,
I just wanted to add to that, Ben, just really quickly. I mean, Matt made an excellent point about all of the modules, but There's going to be some that more people are going to gain more from. Maybe it's just building on a skill set that they already have. But it really creates a standardization for leadership. And I think that's the big thing. There hasn't really been that in the past. And so that's where I kind of see the benefit of having these different modules and like Matt said, like to help color inside the lines. So yeah.
That's really well said. And I think it's more relevant now. I think of times I've been in the workplace and that communication, I think, is the first thing that breaks down. And so if we can have better understanding of how to communicate, when to ask the right questions, it just makes the work environment so much more pleasant and accessible and all of that. So with that, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back and we're going to dive a little bit more into this leadership training. Awesome. So one of the questions I did have for really both of you is, so who's involved? Maybe this one for Kyla. So who's involved within?
Yeah. So like I said, Unilever is just one of the partners that's helping develop this. But we also have some key partners with regards to this training in particular. So that would be the Culinary Institute of America, which is massive for this. So how their involvement is actually part of getting a certificate of completion after you do an assessment following the training. So being able to actually put this on your resume, have people know that this is something that is important to you, coming from such a reputable institution, I think is phenomenal. And then, of course, we have our other contributors, like Matt has been a huge contributor on behalf of Pita Pit Canada. Others within Canada is Richard Corain, so one of the co-founders of Union Square Hospitality Group. And then, of course, Kimberly Brock-Brown from the American Culinary Federation have been huge partners with regards to this leadership training. So really, really grateful and thankful that everyone sees all of the value in this.
Yeah, it's good to have those large kind of third-party validators that help solidify the training and have that input from individuals like Matt and his team to really kind of shape that with that industry mindset. So for yourself, Matt, what advice would you give an operator who's maybe thinking about this or they're a little unsure?
Well, I mean, in terms of operators who think they don't need any kind of leadership training or think they know what's going to happen, I think this is a really it's a great collection of experiences and anecdotes that's intertwined in this certification, and it really kind of allows people, or allowed me in many instances, to sort of to view a situation from somebody else's perspective. In my experience, that's really how I've learned over the years, is trying to understand other people's perspective. And when especially if you're a young person and you're coming up and you're really smart and you're ambitious, and you're willing to do what it takes to get a promotion or a job in a different environment, you can often bring in, I don't want to say a bad habit, because everybody has them, but being able to sort of look at yourself from a different perspective allows you to be a better leader. One of the most important things, as mentioned earlier, is when you choose to say what you say and how you say it. And that isn't always intuitive. It's not always the right time to answer a question directly just because it was asked. Maybe it should wait until a later time. Those types of things, which definitely you don't want to learn the hard way, right?
Absolutely. And I know one of the big things from the Fair Kitchens is really asking the right questions. Are you okay? Is there something I can do to support you? That's not generally something that's always asked in the industry, or it wasn't in the past. But you're right. There's a kind of a resurgence of making sure everyone on the team is in the right frame of mind to be able to handle those stressful situations within the restaurant. So.
Yep. So I was just going to say to, what Matt was saying about, we may think that we know stuff and really everybody should be involved. So I just want to reiterate that too. I know it's, it's called leadership training, and it's not just for people that are currently in that leadership position. But the other thing too is, even once you complete this leadership training, hopefully you will, and see value in it, is that you share your learnings with your team. Because again, it's opening up the lines of communication, which is exactly what we're talking about. It's asking the right questions, but it's also taking the time to ask them. And that consistently has also been something that maybe we lack sometimes, right? Things are busy. We've got a lot of stuff on our own mind, but taking that opportunity to reflect and engage with others. So about sharing the experience of this too, I think could be really big.
And one of the nice things about the module training is that the modules finish with a takeaway, a tool you can use to actually physically engage with your teams, and a guide through that process. So even if you're not inclined to want to ask what you feel is too personal a question, there's some tools included that help you sort of break that ice. So
yeah, that's good. And you can work that into your operation, right? You can take those takeaways, and when you're having a team meeting or you're discussing with your group, work those in, right? Have a bit of fun with that, and really develop that culture of, hey, the leadership within the organization is really showing that it's okay to ask these questions, in the right way, and offer some solutions.
Mm-hmm. One of the tools that I really like is basically an invitation for your crew to review you in a sort of formal process, but it can be done anonymously or not. But it's a really, really important that you can hear and understand your crew's feedback and not just assume that you know what's going on in your space. So that's a really interesting one to me, because it sometimes can be a hard question to ask, but it's important that we know that about ourselves and how our crew actually views us, right, as a leader. So
yeah, gives you that perspective. Yeah. Right. What's really going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very good information. Very good information. So I know, social media has been a big thing, and I think you'd mentioned it. It's We Are Fair Kitchens.
At We Are Fair Kitchens for Facebook and Instagram. For those LinkedIners, hashtag Fair Kitchens, and then of course the landing page at fairkitchens.com.
Well, fantastic. I know that, we can continue the conversation on all of our social medias, and, we recommend everybody check out the leadership training itself and dive into that. I know I'm excited to take it and learn more about, everything within this space, within the restaurant industry. So, it's been my pleasure here today to have both of you on and discuss the leadership training, and I look forward to having you both back on at some time in the future.
Thanks a lot, Ben, and congratulations on your first show.
Yeah,
absolutely,
thank you so much.
You nailed it.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Bye.
So everyone, that's a wrap of our first Ben Wiersma Show, where we dive into diversity, equity, and inclusion within the restaurant space. Thank you all so much for joining, and remember, share food and care for one another.
You wanna say something, don't you? Then you better get to work now. You wanna do something, don't you? Won't you? I'm gonna do something to you. You were never gonna hurt. I'm gonna put something on you.